Let's start with Mortal Shell. If you've ever enjoyed games that make you think before you act, this one is for you. It's all about precision, timing, and strategy. Charging headfirst into a fight, not gonna work. You've got to study your enemies, figure out their patterns, and choose the right moment to strike. It's like a dance where every move counts, and when you nail it, it feels so rewarding. The combat system is where Mortal Shell really shines. It's deliberate and methodical, with a weightiness that makes every action feel significant. It's not about mashing buttons. It's about committing to your decisions, swinging your weapon, dodging, blocking. Each move feels impactful, and that's what makes the fights so intense. And then there's the hardening mechanic. This is such a cool feature that sets the game apart. At any moment, you can turn your character to stone to absorb a hit. It sounds simple, but in practice, it adds a whole new layer to the combat. Timing is everything. Do you harden mid-attack to catch your opponent off guard? Use it defensively to avoid a crushing blow? It's such a clever mechanic that keeps every battle dynamic and exciting. The progression system also deserves some love. It's not just about leveling up and getting stronger. It's about understanding the tools the game gives you and learning how to use them effectively. Exploration is another standout aspect of Mortal Shell. The game rewards curiosity in a big way. There are hidden paths, secrets to uncover, and moments that make you feel like a genius for figuring things out. It's the kind of game where paying attention and taking your time pays off in spades. So suit up, grab your weapon, and prepare to dive into a world that's as challenging as it is rewarding. Next we have The Outlast Trials, a game that flips the script on horror and turns fear into a team sport. Well, sort of. If you've ever wondered what it'd feel like to be trapped in a psychological nightmare with a bunch of your friends or complete strangers, this game has you covered. It's horror, but with a twist that makes it stand out in a genre already packed with great games. Imagine being thrown into a terrifying, twisted experiment, where survival isn't just about running for your life. It's about strategy, cooperation, and sometimes even betrayal. Set during the Cold War era, you're a test subject for the sinister Murkoff Corporation, and let's just say they're not exactly known for their ethical practices. Your job? Survive their trials while keeping your sanity intact. Easy, right? Not even close. The first thing that makes this game special is the co-op aspect. Yes, you can play it solo, but let's face it, trying to survive this nightmare with other players adds a layer of chaos and unpredictability that's impossible to replicate on your own. Picture this. You're sneaking through a dark hallway, your heart pounding, when suddenly your teammate screams and starts sprinting. Do you run? Do you stay put and hope whatever scared them doesn't notice you? Every moment is a gamble, and it keeps you on your toes the entire time. What's cool is how the Outlast Trials encourages teamwork without forcing it. You can choose to stick together for safety, dividing tasks, and helping each other out. Or you can be that person who looks out for number one, leaving everyone else to deal with the consequences. The Outlast Trials is absolutely worth checking out. Next we have Crime Boss, Rockay City. It's a first-person shooter with a focus on assembling your crew, planning jobs, and executing them with style. Think of it as a mix between a strategy game and an action-packed shooter, where every move you make can shift the balance of power in the city. The game revolves around taking control of Rockay City's criminal scene. And trust me, it's no small task. It's all about the crew. Building your team isn't just about grabbing the biggest guns. It's about finding the right personalities, the right skills, and making sure they can get the job done when things inevitably go sideways. And let's be real, in this game, things will go sideways. One moment, you're sneaking through a high-security vault, and the next, alarms are blaring, and all hell breaks loose. That's where your crew comes in. Whether they're picking locks, cracking safes, or holding off the cops while you make your escape. The shooting mechanics are tight, and the adrenaline rush of going head-to-head with rival gangs or outrunning law enforcement is something you'll feel every time you play. But what really sets it apart is how dynamic the gameplay feels. Every heist, every skirmish, every encounter feels like a high-stakes gamble. Do you go in guns blazing, or do you try to play it smart and quiet? The game lets you approach situations however you want, but Rocky City has a way of punishing overconfidence, so be ready to adapt. And then there's the strategy layer. This isn't just about being the best shot or pulling off flashy heists. It's about building a criminal empire from the ground up. Rocky City is absolutely worth your time. Next we have Ashen. Instead of hyper-realistic graphics, Ashen goes for a minimalist art style, with soft, muted tones and faceless characters. And guess what? It works perfectly. At its core, Ashen is an action RPG, with a heavy focus on exploration and combat. The combat feels deliberate. You can't just run in swinging wildly. You'll need to time your attacks, manage your stamina, and learn your enemies' patterns. It's challenging, but fair. And every victory feels like a genuine accomplishment. The enemies are varied, and can be pretty intimidating, so staying alert is key. The exploration is where Ashen really shines. The world is vast and interconnected, filled with secrets to uncover and places to discover. It has that "I wonder what's over there" feeling, and the game rewards your curiosity. You'll stumble across hidden paths, find helpful items, and meet fascinating characters. It's the kind of world that invites you to get lost in it, in the best way possible. Speaking of characters, the NPCs in Ashen aren't just background dressing. They're an integral part of your journey. As you progress, you'll recruit allies who will help you rebuild a settlement that serves as your hub. It's incredibly satisfying to see your home grow and thrive as you complete quests and build relationships with these characters. They have their own stories, and while the game doesn't hit you over the head with exposition, it gives you just enough to feel connected to them. One of the most impressive things about Ashen is how well it balances difficulty with accessibility. Next we have Connection, The Nightmare Within, a game that feels like stepping into someone else's fragmented thoughts and unraveling their darkest fears. You're dropped into this eerie, surreal environment, and your task is to piece together what's happening. What makes this game stand out is how it plays with perception. Walls shift, spaces bend, and what you think you know can change in an instant. It's like being inside a dream that doesn't follow the rules of logic, and every twist keeps you guessing. But here's the thing, it's not confusing for the sake of being confusing. Everything has a purpose, and discovering how it all fits together is incredibly satisfying. The gameplay itself strikes a balance between tense exploration and moments of reflection. It's not a high-octane thriller where you're constantly on edge, but it keeps you alert with subtle tension that builds and builds. You'll find yourself examining your surroundings, uncovering hidden clues, and solving puzzles that feel deeply connected to the game's overall theme. These aren't just find-the-key puzzles. They're layered, thoughtful, and tied directly to the world you're navigating. One of the coolest aspects of Connection is how it taps into emotions and psychology. It's not just trying to scare you or surprise you, it's trying to make you feel. There's this sense of vulnerability as you explore, almost like you're peeling back layers of someone's mind. And yet, the game also empowers you, giving you the tools to face whatever lies ahead, even if you don't fully understand it yet. Next we have Madison. This isn't a game where you're armed to the teeth mowing down monsters. No, Madison wants you to feel vulnerable, to keep you constantly on edge as you navigate its twisted world. One of the standout features of Madison is its use of the Polaroid camera. Yes, a camera. This isn't just some random gadget, it's your main tool for interacting with the world. The camera lets you capture moments, uncover hidden clues, and even reveal things that shouldn't be there. It's a simple mechanic, but it's used in such a clever way that it becomes the heart of the gameplay. Every time you raise the camera, there's this mix of excitement and dread. What will the photo show? Is it something you missed, or is it something you really wish you hadn't seen? The puzzles in this game aren't just there to slow you down. They're intricately tied to the environment and the story. You'll find yourself piecing together clues in ways that feel organic, almost like you're unraveling a mystery in real time. It's satisfying when you solve something, but there's always that lingering unease, like you're peeling back layers of something you might regret uncovering. What really makes Madison unique, though, is its pacing. The game knows exactly when to turn up the tension and when to give you a moment to breathe. It's a delicate balance, and Madison nails it. Just when you think you've figured out its rhythm, it shifts, throwing you off balance in the best way possible. If you're looking for a game that takes psychological horror to the next level, that makes you feel like you're part of something you can't quite escape, Madison is it. Next we have Killzone Shadowfall. This isn't your typical run-and-gun FPS. Sure, you've got your guns, a satisfying variety of them, by the way, but Shadowfall encourages a little more thought. You've got this super cool gadget called the Owl, a drone that's basically your best buddy in the field. Need to zipline to a new spot? The Owl got you. Got enemies closing in, send it to shock or attack them. It's like the Swiss Army knife of futuristic combat, and I loved figuring out new ways to use it. It makes you feel like a tech-savvy soldier, rather than just another trigger-happy grunt. Speaking of the combat, the pacing is where this game shines. Some missions are heart-pounding shootouts that make you feel like you're in the middle of a sci-fi war movie. Others are slower, almost stealthy sections, where you can really take in the world around you. It's a nice mix that keeps things fresh. I'll admit, I may or may not have botched a few stealth sections by going in a little too loud and proud. But hey, improvising is half the fun, right? One thing I really appreciate is how accessible the game is. You don't have to be a Killzone veteran to jump in. If you've never played any of the previous games, you'll still be able to follow along just fine. But if you are a fan, there are definitely some nods and touches that'll make you smile. And the story, without spoiling anything, I'll just say, it's not your typical good guys versus bad guys setup. There's a lot of moral gray area here, and the game isn't afraid to make you question things. Like, who's really in the right? It's not super preachy about it, but it does make you think. Next, we have Nightingale. Without giving too much away, Nightingale is set in an alternate Victorian-inspired universe where portals connect you to countless magical realms. These aren't just ordinary portals either. Each one opens up a unique, handcrafted world full of surprises. Whether it's dense forests, eerie swamps, or towering mountains, every realm feels like a whole new adventure waiting to happen. At its heart, Nightingale is a survival game, but it's so much more than that. Sure, you'll be gathering resources, crafting tools, and building shelters, but it never feels repetitive or grindy. The game constantly rewards your curiosity. Wander off the beaten path, and you might stumble upon a hidden ruin, a bizarre creature, or a resource you didn't even know existed. You'll face all kinds of strange and otherworldly beings, from towering giants to mischievous fairies. Each encounter feels unique, and sometimes running is just as valid an option as fighting. There's this constant sense of tension and wonder as you explore, never quite knowing what's around the next corner. One of the coolest aspects of the game is the crafting system. It's deep, but not overwhelming, which is a hard balance to strike. You can craft everything from tools and weapons to elaborate structures. And let me tell you, building in this game is a treat. The structures you can create aren't just functional, they're gorgeous. Whether you're putting together a humble cabin or a sprawling Victorian estate, it always feels satisfying and personal. Next we have Destroy All Humans Remake. This game is all about flipping the script. You're not saving the planet or fighting aliens. Nope. You are the alien, and your mission is simple. Mess up Earth and make those pesky humans pay. The first thing you'll notice is how unapologetically fun the gameplay is. You're Crypto, a sassy little alien with a serious attitude and an arsenal of ridiculously cool weapons. And when I say arsenal, I mean it. Forget your standard pew-pew lasers. You've got toys like the Zap-O-Matic, which shocks humans into submission, and the iconic anal probe. Yes, that's a thing. To really, get personal. Each weapon is delightfully over the top and so much fun to use. But here's the kicker, it's not just about the weapons. Crypto has powers, and these aren't your run-of-the-mill abilities. You can lift humans with telekinesis, throw them around like rag dolls, or even read their minds. The mind reading is hilarious, because it's where the game's humor really shines. You'll catch humans thinking the most absurd things, and it's like a little bonus chuckle every time you do it. And then there's the Holobob, a power that lets you disguise yourself as one of the very humans you're trying to dominate. Sneaking into restricted areas as a farmer or a cop? Priceless. The missions themselves are a mix of chaotic destruction, sneaky infiltration, and just pure absurdity. One minute you're frying humans with your Zap-O-Matic, the next you're infiltrating a government facility disguised as their clueless boss. The pacing keeps things fresh. You're never doing the same thing for too long. Next we have Kong Survival Instinct, a game that lets you step into the massive, earth-shaking footsteps of one of the most iconic creatures in pop culture. This is a game that makes you feel like Kong. It's all about raw power, primal instincts, and the thrill of survival, all rolled into one epic experience. The core of the game is exactly what you'd expect from the title: survival. But don't think for a second, it's as simple as smashing things and moving on. Sure, there's plenty of smashing. It's Kong, after all. But there's a real strategy to how you approach every challenge. You're not just a giant ape stomping around. You're a living, breathing force of nature, trying to maintain balance in a world that's constantly testing you. Combat is where this game truly roars. The fights are huge, like literally massive. Every encounter feels like a cinematic showdown where you have to rely on more than just brute strength. Timing, positioning, and knowing when to go all out or when to retreat can make the difference between victory and becoming someone else's dinner. And let me tell you, landing a perfectly timed counterattack as Kong, it's the kind of moment that makes you want to stand up and beat your chest, though maybe don't if you're in public. Exploration is another big part of the game. You're not just confined to one small area. You've got a vast, dangerous world to navigate. And it's not just about getting from point A to point B. It's about understanding your environment and figuring out how to use it to your advantage. Next we have Bramble the Mountain King. It's one of those games that totally caught me by surprise. I went in thinking it was just going to be this cute little fairy tale adventure. It's got this dark, eerie vibe running through it, almost like a grim fairy tale brought to life. The story follows this little boy, Ola, who's on this journey to save his sister. And let me tell you, it gets intense. What really stood out to me was the atmosphere. The world feels like you've stepped into this creepy, enchanted forest, with all these Nordic myth-inspired creatures and environments. Some parts are absolutely stunning, with beautiful, serene landscapes, and then suddenly you're thrown into something terrifying. The way the game balances those moments of calm and absolute terror is so well done. I found myself constantly on edge, never really sure what was lurking around the corner. The puzzles in the game are really fun too. They're not overly complicated, but they make you think just enough to feel satisfying when you solve them. And it fits the tone perfectly. You're this little kid in a big dangerous world trying to outsmart creatures way bigger than you. And I loved how it made me feel both vulnerable and clever at the same time. One thing that really hit me though is how Bramble isn't just about survival. It's also about exploring this magical yet dangerous world. Every area feels distinct, and you never know what you're going to run into. It's one of those games that stays with you, not just because of the scares, but because it feels like you've stepped into this strange, enchanted world that you don't want to leave even when it gets terrifying. Next we have Scum. What sets Scum apart from other survival games is how detailed it is. And I mean detailed. This isn't just about finding food and water to stay alive. No, Scum dives deep, literally, into your character's metabolism. You need to manage your energy, protein, hydration, and even vitamins. Yep, you might actually learn a bit about nutrition while playing. It sounds overwhelming, but it's surprisingly fun. You're not just playing a character, you're micromanaging a human being, and it's oddly satisfying to see everything come together when you're doing well. Of course, it wouldn't be a survival game without threats, right? The island is home to all sorts of challenges, from aggressive wildlife to freaky zombie-like creatures. And let's not forget other players. If you're playing on a multiplayer server, you'll need to keep an eye out for those who might see you as an easy target. But here's the thing. Scum gives you the tools to adapt to these dangers. You can focus on stealth and avoid conflict altogether, or you can gear up and take on anything, or anyone that stands in your way. And then there's the crafting. This game is a survivalist's dream when it comes to creating tools, weapons, and even shelter. Whether you're whipping up a campfire, piecing together weapons from scraps, or making improvised gear, crafting in Scum feels practical and rewarding. Every item you make feels like an accomplishment, especially when you've scavenged for hours to find just the right materials. The combat is dynamic and tense. It's not just about having the best weapons, it's about strategy, timing, and knowing when to pick a fight. Next we have Elderborn. You're not here to solve puzzles or play diplomat, you're here to smash, slash, and survive. Elderborn is all about melee combat, and not just any combat. It's chunky, weighty, and precise. Every swing of your weapon matters. It's got this rhythm to it, almost like a dance, but instead of graceful pirouettes, you're smashing skulls and dodging deadly blows. You've got to commit to every move, whether you're swinging a hefty battle axe or a nimble sword. Timing is everything. It's not a game where you can just button mash your way to victory. If you're charging in without a plan, you're going to be eating dirt pretty fast. Elderborn gives you an arsenal that feels so good to use. Each one has its own personality. Want something heavy and devastating? Grab a mace and watch enemies crumble under its sheer power. Prefer something quick and agile? Swords are there for the slicing. And let me tell you, finding your favorite weapon feels like a milestone. It's like discovering your soulmate, but, in a violent, barbarian way. And the enemies? They're not just standing there waiting to be your punching bags. They've got moves, they've got aggression, and they've got no intention of going easy on you. Some charge straight at you with reckless abandon, while others stay back, trying to catch you off guard. And when they come at you in packs, that's when things get really spicy. But here's the thing. It never feels unfair. If you go down, it's because you slipped up. It's a straightforward, no-nonsense action game that knows exactly what it wants to be. Next we have Enshrouded. So the basic idea is you're in this world that's been taken over by this weird fog called the Shroud, and you're one of the last survivors trying to push it back. What I love is that it's not just about surviving. You're also uncovering the story behind what happened to this world. The deeper you go, the more you learn, and it's got that perfect mix of exploration and discovery. I found myself just wanting to wander off the beaten path to see what secrets I could find. What really sets Enshrouded apart for me is how it blends survival and RPG elements. You've got your base building, gathering resources, and crafting. But then you're also leveling up your character, unlocking abilities, and taking on these pretty intense enemies. It feels like a solid mix of genres, so if you like both survival and RPGs, it's kind of a dream combo. What's also great is how much freedom the game gives you. You can focus on survival and base building if that's your thing, or you can dive headfirst into combat and exploration. There's a nice balance between managing your resources and going out to face the world. It's not overly punishing either. It gives you enough challenge to feel rewarding, but doesn't make you feel like you're constantly struggling. And the multiplayer, it's a blast. Playing with friends makes everything even better, especially when you're working together to build a base or taking on tougher enemies. There's something about surviving and exploring with your crew that makes the whole experience feel more dynamic. You'll have these moments of chaos where someone's fighting off monsters while the rest of you are scrambling to gather resources. Enshrouded is definitely worth checking out. Next we have Small End. If you've ever wondered what it's like to see the world through the eyes of something small, really small, this game gives you that experience in the most thrilling way possible. Think of it as an adventure where the everyday turns extraordinary and survival feels like a grand, miniature-scale journey. You're basically thrown into a massive world, but here's the catch. You're tiny. And by tiny, I mean everything around you, plants, animals, weather, feels monumental. You'll find yourself navigating through towering blades of grass and braving massive storms that feel like apocalyptic events because, to you, they kind of are. Survival here isn't just about fighting off the wildlife, though that's definitely part of it. It's about understanding your surroundings and making the best of what nature throws at you. You'll forage for resources, craft tools, and build shelters, all while keeping an eye on your hunger, stamina, and health. Bugs and critters aren't just background details. They're your neighbors, your enemies, and sometimes even your allies. Each creature has its own behavior, and figuring out how to coexist or defend yourself feels like a constant puzzle that keeps you on your toes. The crafting and building in Small End are a big highlight. Everything you create feels purposeful, whether it's a cozy little shelter to hide from the rain or a piece of gear that helps you traverse a tricky part of the environment. You start to really appreciate the world in a way you wouldn't in other games. Next we have Tell Me Why. This game isn't just about playing. It's about feeling, thinking, and maybe even questioning a few things along the way. It's an adventure that leans heavily into its narrative and character-driven approach. So, if you're into games that make you slow down and really experience something, this one's got your name all over it. This game dives headfirst into how those memories are perceived, shared, and sometimes even challenged. You'll spend your time exploring moments from the past and deciding how they shape the present. And trust me, that's where the magic of this game lies. Gameplay-wise, Tell Me Why doesn't throw you into the chaos of action-packed sequences or over-the-top mechanics. Instead, it focuses on thoughtful exploration and meaningful choices. You'll interact with objects, engage in conversations, and uncover pieces of the story as you go. It's all about taking your time and letting the narrative unfold at its own pace. Every choice you make feels significant, and the game subtly reminds you that even the smallest decisions can ripple into something bigger. One of the standout features of Tell Me Why is how it treats its relationships. The bond between the characters is central to everything, and the way the game allows you to navigate that bond is both engaging and heartfelt. You're not just watching a relationship evolve, you're actively shaping it through your actions and decisions. It's like being handed the reins to something deeply personal and seeing where your choices take it. Exploring the world around you feels natural. Next, we have Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden. This game takes you on a truly unique adventure through a post-apocalyptic world, where instead of the usual gritty survivors or battle-hardened soldiers, you get to play as mutants. And not just any mutants, we're talking a giant talking duck and a grumpy boar. Yeah, it's that kind of game. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, it manages to deliver a really gripping experience with a ton of heart. So, here's the basic setup. Earth has pretty much gone to ruins, and now you're part of a group called Stalkers, who venture out from this safe haven called the Ark to scavenge supplies, fight off hostiles, and, of course, hunt for answers about what happened to the world. And the Ark? It's this quirky home base where you can upgrade your gear, stock up on supplies, and pick up a few quirky pieces of info about the world. The game has this dark, mysterious vibe, but it's always balanced by the witty, sometimes snarky banter between your characters. It's got this awesome mix of turn-based strategy and exploration. If you're into games like XCOM, you'll feel right at home here, but with a few twists. Instead of just jumping into every fight guns blazing, Mutant Year Zero really pushes you to think strategically. You can sneak around, scope out enemies, and set up the perfect ambush. When you're exploring, you'll find yourself checking out every corner to spot enemies or snag some valuable loot. Plus, each character has unique abilities you can use in combat. Dux, for instance, has some great ranged attacks. Next, we have Steel Rising. You're in Paris during the French Revolution, but not the one you learned about in history class. This version is darker, deadlier, and full of automatons gone rogue. Paris is your playground here. The game does an amazing job of making the city feel both expansive and dense with detail. You'll find hidden paths, shortcuts, and plenty of secrets if you're curious enough to look for them. The game also throws in a nice mix of enemy types to keep you on your toes. The automatons you face aren't just mindless machines. They're beautifully designed and wildly varied. From towering, tank-like bots to nimble, agile opponents, each enemy feels distinct, and figuring out how to take them down is part of the fun. Customization is another highlight. Aegis isn't just a one-size-fits-all character. You get to tailor her abilities, weapons, and gear to suit your playstyle. Want to focus on raw power and smash everything in your path? Go for it. Prefer speed and precision? You've got options. The game rewards experimentation, so don't be afraid to mix things up. One of the coolest aspects of Steel Rising is how it combines its historical setting with its mechanical madness. You'll meet reimagined historical figures and uncover a story that's both engaging and just the right amount of weird. It's not your typical historical narrative, but that's what makes it so compelling. Now, if you're worried about the difficulty, don't be. While Steel Rising does take inspiration from challenging action RPGs, it's a bit more forgiving. Next we have The Planet Crafter, a game where you're not just surviving, you're creating a world from the ground up. It's a game that throws you onto a barren, lifeless planet and says, all right, it's up to you. Make this place livable. And honestly, that challenge is way more satisfying than it has any right to be. You're dropped into an alien world with nothing but a few scraps of gear and a long list of problems to solve. The air isn't breathable, the water isn't drinkable, and the landscape is about as inviting as a toaster oven. But here's the hook. The Planet Crafter gives you the tools to change all that. It's not about running from danger or fighting off aliens. It's about building, exploring, and transforming this dead planet into a thriving paradise. The gameplay revolves around three main pillars: gathering resources, crafting structures, and progressing through stages of planetary transformation. At first, it's all about survival. You'll need to collect basic materials to build oxygen generators, water collectors, and shelters. But before you know it, you're thinking bigger. You're setting up sprawling bases, automated mining operations, and atmospheric processors that start to bring life to the planet. What makes the Planet Crafter so addicting is the sense of progression. Every little thing you do, whether it's planting a seed, installing a solar panel, or deploying a heater, has a tangible impact on the world around you. You're not just surviving day to day. You're watching the planet change in real time. And slowly but surely, this once hostile environment becomes something beautiful.